First, I want to ask, how many of us have been happily married for at least 8 years or more? Well, congratulations. You guys are in the 50 percentile of successful marriages. Did you know, according to the Huntington Post, the average length of a marriage is 8.8 years for Americans before they start divvying up the wedding gifts. And when Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin uncoupled, the ABC News says, well, this is just a perfect example of a divorce rate climbing. It's at 50% and it's been climbing. But then here's the thing, the New York Times data blog upshot, they say it's no longer true. Divorce rate isn't climbing, or that half of all marriages end in divorce. It's actually been dropping for some time. They said divorce surge is over, and the myth lives on. Looking at the numbers, the Times suggests that the divorce rate increased in the 70s and 80s, but in the last 20 years, they've dropped. And the Pew Research Center says a couple of the reasons are because 42 million Americans never married, and the share of adults cohabiting and raising kids outside the marriage has increased significantly. And I have of their, pass around, of their ratings. And research also has it, if you argue with your spouse over finances once a week, your marriage is 30% more likely to end in divorce than if you argue with your spouse less frequently. For me, I think if you're arguing over finances, it's doomed anyway. Because the money woes will kill marriages. The same study found that couples with no assets beginning the 3-year period are 70% likely to end in divorce than couples with 10,000 in assets. That study was done by Jeffrey Dew. He's Thrifty Couples Are Happy. He did a research from the University of Virginia. And some of the other reasons couples get divorced are if your parents were divorced, you're 40% more likely to end up in divorce. And we think this is because your parents' divorce reinforces the uncertainty of commitment in a disposable society. The divorce magazine publisher, Dan Corvette, in most people's minds, they think it's easier to buy a new car than to fix the old one. So that's their reasoning. And also, if you have a daughter, you're 5% more likely to divorce than if you have a son. And this is because fathers are more invested in family life when they have boys. And that's said to be true by Stephanie Kuntz. She's the author of Marriage and History and the director of research for the Council of Contemporary Families. So then, according to William Doherty, he's a marriage therapist and a professor at Family Social Science at University of Minnesota, 2/3 of the divorces are initiated by women. In my case, I find this to be true. My husband was unfaithful, and when I look back, half of what he said was untrue. We were good for some years, so now I'm stuck with trying to find a place to stay, a new home, because I left. And I was asked once about the quarters. So now that I don't have a home, I live in an apartment complex. It's easy for me to save my quarters and go to the laundromat and do my laundry once a week to get it all done at one time versus being in the laundry locker room of an apartment building. But for me, the divorce is my choosing, and it should be a staff to say that my reason for divorce is he just plain did not deserve me. Thank you.